Cracking, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. New video. So, a while back, people had told me, they've been telling me for a while, you have a lot of good videos from back in the days when you used to work in the shop, but they're very hard to listen to. And I remember back then, I used to do YouTube basically as a hobby, right? Like, as my way, it was my therapy, right? So I didn't do it often, I maybe one video a week, something like that. And my full-time job was being a machinist. And anybody that's been in the machine shops, the shops are loud, man. And I remember thinking like, I do what I do when I can do it. But people have asked me, can you go back and redo those videos? And so today I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna rehash a video, and I'll probably take the original down so that way we don't have two of the same one. But this one I want to do is on Cheech Marin. Hopefully you can hear that. So Cheech Marin is the Cheech from Cheech and Chong. As a kid, I used to love those movies, man. And, I got to see those movies very early on. My mom and dad weren't tripping if I saw those movies, so I got to see them early on, and I thought they were hilarious. Well, my dad, being from the east side, when I was a little kid, I lived on the east side for a little while. But hold on, let me. Well, no, we'll just go with the story. So, there was a new Mexican restaurant at the time opening up, El Pollo Norteño, and I think this was probably 1984, maybe 1983, somewhere around there. It was opening up, and it's on the east side. It's on Milpa Street. And right behind it, they have a parking area, right? And they had set up a stage there, and they had invited all these, some stars. And the little kid from Who's the Boss, the little white kid, he was invited. I want to say Alyssa Milano, but I don't remember for sure. But I remember it was two people from what is it? Who's the Boss? Let's say Saved by the Boss. Who's the Boss? I think it was Alyssa Milano, and it was that kid, right? And Cheech was invited. There was musical guests and stuff. So they were making it a pretty big thing. And it's all raza there, right? And, of course, everybody was there to meet Cheech, to see Cheech. Well, we were at the very end. It was just my dad and I. My dad took me so I could see him, right? So we were at the very back, more towards the street. And the stage was way in the other, not way, but it was on the other side, right? All the way in. And we were standing right at the end where there was a Domino's Pizza, and they were smart. They were selling slices of pizza out the back door, right? $1 a slice, 75 cents a slice, whatever the hell it was. Who cares, right? And everybody's waiting and waiting. It was a beautiful day, and my dad's right there. He's smoking a joint, and I'm looking towards the stage, and my dad tells me, "Hey, look, mijo." And I look, and there's a parking spot right like where I'm standing. And then there's a bunch of people right here, like with their back to me and my dad. And like we were the very last people, my dad and I, right? My dad smoking the joint. Like I said, he's like, "Hey, look, mijo." And I look. A Mercedes is pulling in and wants to park where I'm standing. So I move out of the way, and it's Cheech. Cheech and a girl, turns out to be his wife, right? Cheech and some chick. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I'm knowing like, oh, nobody sees him. Like, I'm going to get the first autograph. I'm a kid. 9, 10 years old. I'm a kid. I'm all happy. And so He gets out of the car, and I go up to him and I say, hey, Cheech. And he looks at me and goes, what's up? I said, hey, can I get your autograph? And he goes, look, let me get my wife. And I think he said son. I think he said, let me get my wife and my son out of the car, and then I'll take care of you, right? And I was like, oh, all right, cool. So I go to my dad, and I don't know where I got a pen and paper from. Probably inside Domino's, but I get it real quick. Boom. Again, nobody has seen him. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to be the first one. Hell yeah. Big Cheech from Cheech and Chong. He gets his wife out. Boom. He goes to the back seat. He pulls a baby out of a car seat, hands the baby to his wife, and I'm right there following him, right? And then he goes to walk away. And I'm like, hey, Cheech. And he goes, what the fuck do you want? My dad came up off that wall and he goes, what the fuck you say? And that little commotion, the fuck do you want and what the fuck do you say? Everybody that had their back to us turns around. Oh, Cheech. Now there's a crowd around him. Hey, Cheech, hey, Cheech. This dude, he showed his true colors. He starts screaming at everybody. Get the fuck away from me, man. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? This and that. And people are like, hey, let me get your autograph, Cheech. Instead of going up to the stage where he was supposed to with everyone else as the guest, and basically for all the raza that was there, he was the guest of honor, the main event, the main attraction, the reason why everybody was there. And he's cussing at everybody. He's screaming at everybody, right? And instead of going on the stage, he goes in through the back door of the restaurant, boom, and orders. And the people that worked in the restaurant are telling everybody, hey, you guys can't come in here unless you're going to eat. Like, let him eat. Well, he sits in the back of the restaurant where everybody can see him through the windows, and there's a door right there. And people, hey, Cheech. And this dude literally was screaming at us. You guys are all a bunch of fucking animals, man. Get the fuck away from me. Don't you see I'm with my wife and my kid, this and that. He had everybody yelling, man, fuck you, you fucking punk. He showed everybody today who he really was. From that day on, again, I was like 9 or 10 years old. I'm 50 years old now. So we have a minimum of a 40-year fuck you that he created in me. It was amazing. Like, it never left my mind. And I'm sure hopefully there's people that were there that day that'll see this, because there's a lot of people here that watch, right, in SB. And, you know, I remember years later when Tommy and Cheech had their fallout. I don't know if you guys knew they had a fallout. They were beefing for a few years, right? They had their fallout. And Tommy put it out there. Tommy was like, Cheech does not care about Mexicans. He said that's just, you know, he was playing a character to bring people. He was playing a character that was making a fool out of Mexicans, if we look at it, right? He was playing a caricature, right? He was putting super extras on it. But he said that dude was so fucking lazy that in order for us to get him to the set, to get him to work on time, he said we would have to promise him that there were some white girls on the set waiting for him, and then whatever stuff. He said some other paraphernalia or whatever. But I remember him saying they had to promise him there was some blondes on the set, some white girls. Then he show up. And I remember later hearing about how he has one of the largest personal art collections that is Mexican art or Chicano art or whatever you want to call it. And again, I remember Tommy Chong saying that's not something along the lines of that's not for his heritage, right? He was able to grab some stuff. But anyways, I remember him being on, and it's unfortunate when people meet, they say when you meet your hero, and he wasn't really my hero, but maybe like an idol as a little kid. He was my idol, and I thought he was the funniest guy. And to meet him and see him treat everyone like shit, it just really soured me, right? And I remember, like, for the rest of my life, anytime somebody would bring him up, I'd be like, man, fuck that. I remember being in the joint and telling homies, they'd be like, hey, Holmes, fuck, you ever seen that movie? Remember that movie, fucking Up in Smoke? And I'd be like, man, fuck Cheech. They were like, what? Like, that's random. Who the, what, why? And I'll tell them the story, and they were like, hey, fuck that puto. He did that to you and you were a little kid? So a lot of people in prison hate Cheech because of what he did that day. But another thing that's messed up is, like in the original video, I watched it back right now to make sure I had my memory correct. He did the Latin Kings of Comedy with George Lopez. And George Lopez was like, he was my favorite comedian, man. He became my favorite. I remember when I was in prison, I had Team Leader. I had a couple of his CDs. They were hilarious, man. And I used to always listen to George because I was like, he talks the way Mexicans talk. Like your tios get drunk and act stupid. They sound exactly like George. And I was like, why would he hang out with that guy? And then as the years have gone by, it's like they're two peas in a pod. They are two divas who really don't give a fuck about that raza. They're very selfish and self-centered. A couple years ago or a year ago, he had that thing with Ralphie Barbosa, I think his name is. George did, and it brought a lot of negative attention to him. But then recently, he's had a few shows where he just walked off the stage because he couldn't handle the hecklers. Raza, what's going on, man? And I'm not one to pick at other raza. But when we have two people that were that big and they decide at their best to shit on their own people, that's a problem. So anyways, there's my story when I met Cheech Marin. Cheech from Cheech and Chong, and how he busted the bubble of a little kid. All I wanted was my damn autograph. He would have been forever the best comedian if he would have just smiled at the people. But no, he called us animals. We were all there for him. We didn't care about Johnny Pintaro, Alessa Milano. We didn't care about what banda was there. We were there for Cheech with the fucking scar on his lip and stupid mustache and fucking Bozo the Clown haircut. We were there for that, eh? We're going to support that. And instead, he treated us all like shit. So, there you go. For those of you that are a Cheech fan, let me know. And matter of fact, in the comments, let me know, any of you guys, if you've ever met him and how your interactions were. George Lopez talks about his interaction with Eric Estrada and why he hated him. And I'm like, fuck, eh? Cheech is my Eric. But anyways, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.